Morning, everybody. Welcome back to Just Keep Parenting. We've been talking about the 7 powers of self-control, and we've made it through a few of them, but today we're going to talk about the power of perception, right? That no one can make us mad, no one can make us angry without our permission. I have a niece who, on her email, at the bottom, she has a post that always talks about, it's an Eleanor Roosevelt quote, and it talks about no one can make us feel inferior without our consent, right? Same thing goes with no one can make you angry without our permission, right? So the power of perception talks a lot about, I guess we have to define the power, this power, right? So have you ever heard anything come out of your mouth that might sound like this? You make me so mad when you do that. Don't you make me do that. Don't, right? And so as we look at the control that we're giving up, right? We're giving up our control to that child, or we're giving up our control to that person that just cut us off, or we're giving up our control to that person on the phone who just told us that our payment is late, right? It's that whole building of excuses and blaming it on somebody else, right? And so I like to think that most of us would like to have power over our own life and not give that power to somebody else. But when we say statements like that, we're just automatically handing it over. Take it, take control over my life, right? And so as we think about what are our thoughts, what thoughts are we thinking, right? Because our thoughts are what created our emotions. So say that again. Our thoughts create our emotions. And so as we think about this, we have to think, what kind of emotions do I want to have? And then we've got to work our thoughts, change our thoughts to be able to have those emotions, right? I know that in the morning, I wake up often and think, today's going to be a great day. My mom always used to say, make it a great day. She never said, have a good day, because have a good day implies that, well, you know, depending on how it goes, you might have a good day. But her thought process was always, no, we have a choice. We can make it a good day, right? And so I remember as a teenager, that used to just bug me. Whatever, Mom, right? But I have it everywhere now. And I share it with everybody now because it really is true. And if we think about the power of perception, my mother was a hero with this, right? Make it a good day, Dory. Okay, Mom. Right? But as I say that now, it's a choice that I make every day to make it a good day, right? I don't just have to have a good day. I can make it one. So the issue that I'll just be real honest with you right now, I'm struggling with power of perception because I want everybody to see the world through my eyes. So sometimes I have a problem with judging people. They would just do it this way. They would just think about it this way, right? And I don't necessarily do it that often with children. I tend to do it with adults more than children. But I love the fact that we can change that, right? We can change that with our children. We can change it with our spouse, with our partner, and just with those relationships that we have in our life. Dr. Bailey, right, from the book that is called Easy to Love, Difficult to Discipline, Dr. Bailey talks, this is the quote that she uses. Each of us carries around an image of how we think the world should work. We are conscious of some aspects of this image and unconscious of others. Do you have an expectation about what constitutes a good school? Do you have an ideal for a good marriage? Can you picture what a good morning would be? You probably have images for all of these, but don't often think consciously about them. You also have an image of how good children ought to behave, right? So we see it not as it is, going back to the power of perception, but we see it through our lens of judgments. And this is what I'm really trying to work on right now, is this power of perception, because I find myself thinking you know what? Why didn't he do it this way? Or why didn't she do it this way? Or why didn't they? And I'm like, because they're not you, right? And so we have to be able to, what do I want to say? To alter, right? This lens that we have alters everything that we see because we're not really seeing it as it is. Back to the power of perception. And so once again, as we look through our lens, we have to remember that our lens is not as it is. Our lens is guided by our emotions. And so as we think about this with a toddler, right? If the toddler is taking the pen and writing all over the walls, right? And you take the pen from the toddler, they're going to end up screaming. You're mad because he's just written all over your newly painted wall, right? And so we're both having kind of a fit. The toddler's having a fit and the adult's having a fit, right? And I love this as she says, neither of you caused the other person's upset. It was triggered by the other person. I love triggered, right? It was triggered, but it's not the cause. She was not the cause of mine and I was not the cause of hers, right? Upset is an inside job. You are never upset for the reason you think you are, right? We talk about that with the children a lot, right? It's okay to feel angry, right? Angry is okay to feel, but it's not okay to hit somebody. It's not okay to lash out at somebody, but we have to recognize I'm feeling angry right now, right? Yes, this toddler triggered it, but I'm choosing to feel angry about it. And so when we feel anger, there's usually something else that's triggering it, right? And so one of the things that we need to think about is when we feel powerless, we're likely to blame somebody else. That's what we do. That makes us feel good. It makes us feel in charge. We blame somebody else. And it's like, no, wait a minute. I got to take control of this, right? So when Dr. Bailey says, it does not create a secure feeling in your home. We want our kids to have a secure feeling. One of the questions we started back to school a couple of weeks ago, and one of the questions that I asked the children for the question of the day is, do you have a safe place at home? Right? And many of the children said, yeah, it's my bedroom. Yeah, it's in my bed. Yeah, it's with my mom. Right? And so I love the fact that these kids are recognizing that they have a safe place somewhere in their home. And that's our job as adults, is to create a safe place, a safe feeling for our children, but also for ourselves, right? We got to do that self-care so that then we can be better adults, be better parents, be better friends with what we're doing. Dr. Bailey goes on to say, if your feelings create a sense of peace, your worldview is loving. If your feelings create discomfort, your orientation has shifted from love to fear. We felt a lot of that this week starting school, right? The kids are like, yeah, I'm so excited, but my tummy hurts. Well, honey, that's because you're nervous. This is a new experience, right? That orientation has shifted. If you are upset, you are resisting what is. You are either focusing on what you don't want, attributing negative motives to others, or blaming others for your upset, right? That power of attention. You focus on what you get more of. So if we want more of feeling peaceful, we have to focus more on having those feelings, right? And being aware of what's going on inside. So as we work on this week with ourselves, with our children, a couple of the things that we can do to help us is to notice, right? Just notice how your thinking creates your feelings, right? Or your thinking creates your feelings. There we go. And so when you're feeling something, last week we talked about just noticing when you're holding a child's hand, noticing when you're doing the dishes, all the things that are around you, right? Being present, being in the moment. And so it kind of ties right into this new power of perception, right? The other thing that we can do is watch how often we blame others, right? Kind of track that and see how often we blame others. Watch your, make me language. You made me do this because you did this, right? Accept that. Don't give that power away. And then the third thing that we can do is just call it what it is. I feel angry. I feel angry right now, and that's okay. Get back from your brainstem up to your thinking brain, right? And help your kids to recognize this. Yesterday we had somebody kind of melt down outside because somebody had told her to slow down and she wanted to go fast. And so as I said to her, let's deep breathe, honey, together. And she just melted into my chest and she said, okay, I'm ready. And we just did some deep breathing. And I said, all right, so now, sweetie, now you're back up here. But when we're crying and we're throwing a fit, we're here. So we got to figure out how to get back up here, right? So call it what it is. I'm angry. That's okay. But how am I going to move from here to here? And then the fourth thing, my friends, is to think about, just ask yourself, do I want another person to be in charge of me? Do I want to give that control over to somebody, right? Where's my power? I struggle with this with food. Sometimes I'm just eating because I'm mad. I'm eating because I'm happy, right? And I'm giving that power to the food, right? So this is something that probably of all the powers, this is one that I struggle with because I've got to remember that it's back to me. I don't want to give that power away to the person who's making me angry because they're not doing it my way, or to the person who, I'm going to go eat some more chips and salsa because of how I'm feeling. So trying to figure that out, that my emotions, the connection between that and my feelings. So as we parent, as we relate, as we teach, as we live life this week, those are some things that we can work on. So enjoy your week. Share this with anybody that you think might be interested, and go team. Here we go. Have a great week, everybody.